Welcome, football fans, to an unforgettable evening that will be etched in the folklore of English football for years to come. The beauty of knockout football lies in its unpredictability, and tonight, under the floodlights of Blundell Park on a rain-soaked night, we witnessed one of the most astonishing upsets in modern memory. This was the magic of the cup in its purest form, where reputations count for little, where giants can fall, and where the unlikeliest of heroes can rise to prominence. On one side stood Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in world football, multiple-time champions of England, European royalty, and backed by a fan base that stretches across the globe. On the other stood Grimsby Town, a proud but modest club from League Two, the fourth tier of English football. Their resources, squad depth, and infrastructure could not be more different to the colossus they were facing. For Grimsby, this was supposed to be a dream fixture, a chance to test themselves against the elite. For United, it was supposed to be a routine outing, another step towards silverware. But football, as always, had other ideas. From the first whistle, there was something unusual in the air. United looked slow, heavy-legged, almost disinterested. Grimsby, on the other hand, looked like a side possessed. They swarmed every ball, pressing high up the pitch, cutting off passing lanes and unsettling United's rhythm. The rain hammered down, making every pass slippery, every tackle crunching. In the 22nd minute, the first twist of fate arrived. A cross came in from the right, curling awkwardly through the wet air. Charles Vernon, a player who has spent most of his career outside the limelight, produced a moment of composure that belied the occasion. He brought the ball under control with his first touch, and with Onana shifting his weight the wrong way, Vernon coolly slotted it home. The stadium erupted. Grimsby Town, the Minnows, were leading Manchester United. But the Mariners weren't content with just one. 8 minutes later, chaos struck again. Another delivery into the box caused panic. Onana, returning to the lineup after a string of criticisms, misjudged the flight completely. He came out to punch, but got nowhere near it. The ball dropped to Tyrell Warren, ironically a former United youth player. With poetic simplicity, Warren tapped it in. 2-0. A dream for Grimsby, a nightmare for United. The cameras cut to Amarim on the sidelines, his arms folded, rain dripping from his coat, his expression a mixture of disbelief and brewing anger. For United, this was a disaster unfolding in real time. For Grimsby, it was the stuff of dreams. So, how did this happen? How could one of the richest clubs in the world be undone so easily by a League Two side? The answer lies in the approach. Grimsby pressed high, refusing to let United settle. They targeted Onana's uncertain handling in the wet conditions, deliberately putting balls into the box to test him. Their fullbacks pushed forward with bravery, stretching United's defense. Meanwhile, United were lethargic. Their midfield lacked bite, their build-up play was predictable, and their forwards were starved of service. The wet conditions neutralized United's technical superiority, while Grimsby thrived on chaos and second balls. Every 50-50 challenge seemed to go the Mariners' way, not just because of luck, but because they wanted it more. This wasn't just about skill, it was about desire, about seizing a once-in-a-lifetime chance. At halftime, the boos from the United supporters rang loud. Ruben Amorim knew he had to act. Out came the underperformers, and in came reinforcements. Bruno Fernandes, the captain, was summoned to bring urgency and creativity. Matthijs de Ligt, United's defensive signing, came on to provide stability. And making his debut, Bryan Mbeumo was thrown into the mix, tasked with rescuing the team on his very first night in a United shirt. The second half began with a completely different script. United dominated possession, camped inside Grimsby's half. But the Mariners defended with hearts of lions. Every tackle was cheered like a goal, every clearance celebrated. For them, this was more than football. It was survival, pride, and belief rolled into one. Finally, in the 75th minute, the breakthrough came. United's relentless pressure paid off when Mbeumo picked up the ball just outside the penalty area. With a deft touch to set himself, he curled a beautifully measured shot into the bottom corner. It was a goal of real quality, and what a way to announce himself. The United fans finally had something to cheer about. The tension ratcheted up. United pushed harder, throwing bodies forward. Grimsby, exhausted but resolute, clung on desperately. The rain poured heavier, as if nature itself wanted to test the Mariners' resolve. Then, with the clock ticking towards 90, United forced one final corner. The delivery was perfect, and up rose Harry Maguire, the much-maligned defender who has endured years of criticism. He powered the header home. Redemption for Maguire, despair for Grimsby. 2-2. The tie was going to penalties. The atmosphere was electric. Fans could barely watch. Penalty shootouts are cruel, often reducing epic performances to a coin flip of nerves and composure. Both teams started strongly. 5 penalties each, all converted. The tension was unbearable. Into sudden death they went. 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds each, still no breakthrough. Players who rarely take penalties were now stepping up, carrying the weight of their clubs on their shoulders. The shootout stretched into surreal territory. In the 10th round, Matheus Cunha stepped up for United. He struck the ball, but it lacked conviction. Christy Pym, the Grimsby keeper, guessed correctly and saved. The stadium erupted. The underdogs had a chance. Yet the script wasn't done. United survived, Grimsby missed, and the marathon continued. 20, 22, 24. By now, it was pure nerve. Then came Bryan Mbeumo again, the debutant, the man who had sparked hope with his goal earlier. He stepped up knowing the stakes. But football can be brutally unforgiving. His strike thundered against the crossbar. Agonizingly close, but it stayed out. And with that, Grimsby Town had completed the miracle. 12-11 on penalties. Manchester United were out. Grimsby Town, the League Two underdogs, had slain the Giants.